Hello! I'm just gonna get straight to telling you about my adventures. Last time we talked, I told you about something I had done the previous week before that I was going to tell you about because I didn't have enough time, and I was leaving for the South Island, which I will also talk about. And yeah, so basically it was just a giant weekend of adventure, just like complete adventure. We started out by doing a surf trip at Raglan Beach, which is one of the close by beaches. It's kind of an hour away, and it also just so happens to be a world famous surf spot. So it was a trip organized by the school, and we all bought tickets to go have surfing lessons over at Raglan, and it was so exhilarating and so much fun just to like get up on that board, and the feeling like when you actually get up on a board and ride a wave is just like so cool, and you feel very accomplished, or at least I did. After we did Raglan, we went on a kayak trip, and everything was great. We kayaked across the peninsula of Raglan, kind of like on the side of Raglan Beach, and we rented a two-person kayak. It was a bunch of international students, so we had 2 people per kayak, and we kayaked around, and it was about 2 hours long or something like that. And then at the end of our kayaking trip, I decided to get out and just pull the kayak to shore because we're kind of struggling a little bit, and I watched another friend pull her kayak to shore, so I'm like, oh, I can do that. And then so I get out of the kayak, and I still have my jacket on because I'm assuming the water is like not even waist deep, because I can see the ground next to me and it's really shallow, and I start pulling the kayak, and my jacket was dry at the moment. I had not gotten it wet. It had been in the kayak the whole time, and then all of a sudden the ground decides to disappear on me. And so I sink into the water, and my phone is in my life jacket, and so immediately the first thing I do is just like take my phone out, and I'm looking at it, and there's already water in the case, and so I'm kind of freaking out. I have to take off my jacket because it's a really poofy jacket that's like obviously not made for water, and so that's soaked now, and I threw that in the kayak, and then I couldn't actually jump back into the kayak because I would have tipped the kayak over, and my partner would have gone into the water if I had tried to get back in. So I have to swim to shore now, and so I'm swimming, and I get to a point where I can kind of put my feet on the ground, and it feels a little bit sharp and a little bit rough on my feet, and like I would like to think that I have pretty like durable feet from like never wearing shoes and walking around all the time, but this ground was really sharp, and I had no choice but to like walk, or do my best to like walk back. I swam as much as I could, but then at a certain point I had to stand up, and I walked to the shore and get to the shore, and then there's a concrete ramp that I tried to walk up, and of course I slipped on the concrete ramp a couple times, and after I get up the concrete ramp, I go to lie on this patch of grass where all of the other students who had made it back to shore were, and I decide to look at my feet, and of course I have a giant gash on my foot. And yeah, so I had to have one of the international student coordinators, like the guy who one of the guys who like runs the whole like international student field trips. He just so happened to be like a firefighter or something like that, and he had to patch up my foot. And then the other woman who was part of the international student coordinator, she helped me, she gave me a jacket, and because it was freezing cold. My foot didn't even hurt. I was just so cold that I couldn't stop shivering, and so she gave me her jacket. And I just couldn't stop laughing as this random guy is bandaging my foot because, like, of course, everything had to happen within the last, like, 20 minutes. Oh, and I also realized that that I left my slippers back on the other side of the peninsula, so I couldn't go back to get them, so I had lost my Tevas. And yeah, it was kind of just, like, really crazy situation, but like I'm really glad that it happened at the last minute, because like that's probably the best time that it could have happened. I had a really great day otherwise, and then I had to walk around the rest of the day wearing no shoes because I didn't have any. So that was fun. That was a good experience. Definitely a story to tell. After we did the kayaking trip, we went out salsa dancing, and like it was a like Hispanic Latina night in town, so we did that. And then the very next day, I woke up early in the morning to go whitewater rafting. And whitewater rafting was so much fun. We went down the highest like commercially available waterfall that I think, did they say in the world? I can't remember. But it was like either in the country or like maybe in the world. I don't know. How would they know that? Anyways, it was a high waterfall, but it was really fun. We went in a raft and like everybody got their own paddle, and we did a bunch of like really cool stuff. Like we put the front of the raft into like straight into the waterfall, and there was just like water spewing everywhere. We got to like jump out of the raft and go and swim in the rapids and kind of just like let the rapids take us down the river. So that was a really cool experience, and like that water is so strong, so it was definitely an experience to just, you know, be able to be taken like by such a strong body of water like that. But you know, everything's safe, and like everything was really fun. They got you all geared up in a wetsuit, and since it's winter, like that's why they use the wetsuits, because normally the water would be freezing if you didn't use a wetsuit in the summer. You don't really have to, but we got in ours, and that made the water like a lot more warm. Kind of like we were also in wetsuits at Raglan too, and that made the water way warm. And once I got into the water both times, it was just like, it wasn't even bad at all. So if you're ever scared about going into the water, wetsuits help a lot. And I had never really worn a wetsuit very much before. I know you probably wouldn't believe that, coming from Hawaii, but yeah, it was really fun. And our instructor was really fun, and he got us to do a lot of like different activities in our raft and stuff like that, and showed us how to man the raft and everything, and it was definitely a good experience. I would recommend whitewater rafting to anybody. So, and here's a little picture of us all whitewater rafting, and all of those people are people that I went to South Island with, minus one of them because she was out having her own adventure. But yeah, they're all awesome, and so whitewater rafting with everybody was really cool. So that was an exciting day, and I only have videos of the kayaking, so I can show you a couple clips of that. South Island was a blast. It was so much fun. It consisted of a lot of sleeping in a car, which was kind of crazy. We started out with 5 people in the beginning, and then it went up to 7 people because we picked up 2 people when we were in Christchurch. And basically we did this little like thing around the island. I'll show you right here of how like our path, and you can see how at the bottom of there the path kind of just goes all crazy because we didn't realize how, or at least I didn't realize how much or how little access there is, and like roads that you can go to down there. But either way, South Island is amazing. If you can ever go there, it's like being in a movie, like a magical movie where everywhere you go is just beautiful scenic landscapes and just wide mountain ranges and huge fields and just forests. everywhere, and like you're driving on the sides of cliffs of mountains on these like really windy roads and stuff like that. It was honestly one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to in my life. So if you can go there, I do recommend it. And yeah, so like I was saying earlier, we started out with 5 people and then we got into 7 people. And this is the car that we were in. So that may look like a pretty big car, but when you get 7 people in that car, it is not big. Not big at all. And plus all of us had our luggage and stuff like that, so of course we had to shove all of our luggage into the back, and it was a very tight squeeze throughout the entire trip. So we were pretty much just like crammed into this little car, and like being in South Island, you have to drive really long hours to get from place to place, or like some of the major places. Like a lot of our destinations were like 3 to 4 to 5 hours, sometimes 6 hours in between. And then the last day we had a final 10-hour drive all the way from Queenstown to back to the ferry terminal in Picton, where we had started off. And so driving in a car very confined with a lot of people was definitely an experience. I'm sure we all had our little moments where we were like, oh, okay, this is too much. But like overall, it was still a really great experience. And I don't know, just having a bunch of people to share it with was really cool. And on top of that, it does make traveling a lot cheaper at the end when we had allocated all of our finances, because we all kind of pitched in for everything together and then just figured it out all at the end when we had allocated who owed who what, and did all of our expenses divided evenly. It actually wasn't that expensive for a 2-week trip to South Island, so traveling with a lot more people made it worth it. And also, like, you know, everybody who was there was just really cool, and traveling with everybody was just really fun, and there were so many different personalities, and everybody brought a little bit of something to the group, so I thought it was really cool. And now I have these friends for a lifetime. So I'll stop rambling for a little bit and show you a little bit of what the South Island looks like. gonna pause a little bit right here. I'd have to say my favorite places in South Island were definitely Wanaka, Lake Wanaka. It was a small little city that was pretty like bustling, and like when I say that a city is bustling for New Zealand, it's like you have to understand that most places in New Zealand close around like 5 or 6 p.m. So the fact that a city is alive after 5 or 6 p.m. is very it means that it's bustling, or at least most of the places where we went, they were closed, and that's probably because it was Easter weekend, and like they go all out for Easter weekend here. Places close early, and there's a lot of surcharges on restaurants, so they'll charge you like 10 to 20% more because it's Easter. So and we did have to deal with a little bit of that, and then a lot of the times we were in cities, it was a like Thursday or Tuesday or something like that, so not really a whole lot going on a Tuesday night. But either way, like Wanaka was really fun, and it was like a really beautiful lake that we went to. We actually ended up going to Wanaka twice, so that was really cool. And then there's that one tree that I guess is really popular. It's a very photogenic tree, so everybody knows it as that Wanaka tree. Which it was really funny because like when we got there, there's just like so many photographers like lined up all the way down the lake, like just to get a picture of this tree. There were so many people, and it was kind of funny, but I totally understand it. It's a beautiful place, and honestly, during autumn, like I've never experienced autumn before, and autumn in Wanaka is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like all the leaves changing colors, and all the yellow trees, like the bright yellow in the trees and leaves are so beautiful. Besides Wanaka, my other favorite thing that we did was kayaking in Milford Sound, and I think that pretty much topped everything. Like how beautiful that kayaking trip was, literally took my breath away. It was so gorgeous, and if you go to the South Island, you have to go to like Fiordland National Park, which is the park where Milford Sound is in, and like it's just, well, first of all, the drive there is like really insane. You're going through all of these like really crazy mountains, and then you get through this one tunnel, and it's like shortly after you get through this one tunnel, you just see like all these beautiful mountains like just everywhere, and like you look up and they're all around you, and it's honestly so gorgeous, and I had never seen something like that in my life. So going down there and kayaking through the fjord was really amazing. And so one thing about Milford Sound is that it is called a sound, which if you don't know what a sound is, because I didn't know what it was, it's a body of water. I think it's distinctively like a body of water that like is in between a valley, but it's actually incorrectly named Milford Sound. It's actually a fjord, and the difference is that a fjord is created from glacier water that runs down from the mountain, when a sound is created, or is a mixture of like fresh water and seawater that is created when the seawater rises or land sinks. That is a sound. But Milford Sound is actually a fjord because it has the glacier water and the seawater as well. So that's something like that was really cool and unique about Milford Sound. Another really cool thing about Milford Sound was that there's this bird that I really have been wanting to see ever since I've got here. It's called the kakapo, and I think I've mentioned earlier how much I like birds. So this is the kakapo right here, and it's the world's largest flightless parrot, and it's so cute and just like such a cheeky little creature. I really have wanted to see one ever since I got here, but I'm really sad because I don't think I will get the chance to see one because they're so rare and endangered, and they nearly went extinct. They're pretty much only found in like places where they breed them now. But the cool thing about Milford Sound was that before, when they thought the kakapo was extinct, there is this track that we would kayak past that was where they actually found them. After they had thought that they had gone extinct, they found them in this fjord, or in this hiking trail right behind the fjord. So that was really cool to be in the place where, yes. Speaking of birds, like, it was really cool because there was also another native bird called the kea, and these are more large parrots, and these guys fly around, and they were really cool. They were like flying really close to us overhead, and they're just really cute little birds, and apparently they're actually a problem to a lot of people who drive around those areas where there are a lot of kea, because they like to eat the little like rubbery bits off the side of your car, like around your windows and stuff like that. So even though they're really cute, they're actually like quite a nuisance to some people, but they're still like amazing creatures, and you know, you just gotta like keep an eye out for them, make sure they don't eat your car. But yeah, so it was really cool being able to see them and so up close. To a funny story about something that happened when, after we got out of our kayak, me and my friend Tia, we decided that we wanted to jump in the water. Mind you, it is getting into winter. It is really cold. And I'm like, you know what? Being in water, it sounds really good right now. And when am I ever going to get the chance to do this again, right? So we leave our friends for a second, and then we go to jump inside of the water. And we actually jumped in, and we got back out. And then we went to go back to go grab our clothes and stuff, and it turns out that everybody is gone. Like, all of the people who did the kayak tours are all gone. My jacket and my jacket that I had just bought was locked in their shed, and Tia, her jacket and like her clothes and her shoes are all locked in the shed, and they're gone to a city where it's like an hour away. None of us have cell phone reception, so me and my friend Tia, we had to walk around pretty much in our bathing suits in like the beginning of winter. And let me tell you, like, people were looking at us like we were crazy. But we had to walk around in our bathing suits, and we wore a little sarong, or we call them pareos in Hawaii, and we went to go ask if they could unlock the shed at the main office to get our stuff, and turns out that they don't even have the keys for it. So at this point, we're stuck in our bathing suits, like, we don't have our jackets, and I mean, we have most of our other stuff in the car, which is great. Like, we do have an extra change of clothes to get into, but our like main winter jackets that we pretty much needed for the rest of the trip were locked in that shed. And so what we had to end up doing was calling the main office and asking them if they could send our clothes on one of the buses over to the next town over when we got it, which the next town that we were going to be in was Queenstown. So they had to take our clothes the next day because we weren't going to be there. We had planned to leave Milford Sound that night. So they took our clothes and they put it on the bus and they sent it to Queenstown, and we got it the next day. So that was a really close call, and we almost lost our jackets, and I would have been really sad because I had just bought this jacket. So that ended up turning out okay. So all in all, South Island was an amazing experience. Like, I can't stress this hard enough. It's so beautiful. And the next couple weeks after that, well, it's already a week after that, I had to spend some time just like to myself and winding down, because after spending 2 weeks just always constantly on the move and in a car for a really long time, like you need a little like relaxation / wind down time, even though I was on vacation. But also the day I came back to school, the next Monday afterwards, I had a report due, and then the Thursday after that I had a test for my hardest class that I'm taking here, which is advanced genetics, and I actually just got the grade back for that, and I actually did pretty good, so pat myself on the back. But yeah, so these next couple weeks are mostly just going to consist of me studying and maybe hanging out with some friends here and there, so I'll keep you guys updated on all of that stuff and let you know if I do anything exciting. And actually, on the 25th, I am going to go see Jane Goodall, which I'm really excited for. If you don't know who Jane Goodall is, she's a really well-known anthropologist and primatologist who did a lot of work with chimpanzees and made a lot of groundbreaking observations on chimpanzees. And I really do recommend you to look her up all over like National Geographic, because she's a huge advocate for just global welfare and conservation and animals and everything like that. She's such a hero of mine, and I've known of her since I was really young and in elementary school. She's an amazing person, and I'm going to go see a lecture from her on the 25th. So hopefully I can get some video of that, and I'm really excited. I'm going to go spend the week in Auckland, just solo-ish by myself, so I'm actually really excited, and I think it's going to be fun. So I'll be excited to share that with you too. But until then, I will see you later. What's up, people? I'd have to say my favorite places. Ooh, there goes the camera. You're back? Okay. So, was telling us, oh, there goes my camera again.